Co-parenting is basically parenting together with another individual of the same children, and you're not in a relationship. You're not married, you're not boyfriend and girlfriend, you're not living together, you are in perhaps separate relationships, or you're not in a relationship. But the key is that you're not in a relationship with the parent of your children, and yet you both are involved in their life. My goal here is to be positive and to give pointers based on my experience, both as a child who went in between her parents and a mother now who is co-parenting with the father of her children. And I just want to speak from the heart and be honest. So the topic for this video is forgiveness and compartmentalization. So forgiveness and compartmentalization really has been the two survival tools that I have used in order to cultivate what is now a tremendously positive relationship between the father of my children and myself. About your romantic relationship and your co-parenting relationship as two different relationships. Now, your romantic relationship is the one that's ending. It's the one that's negative. It's the one that's filled with much negativity. Your parenting relationship is the new one. It's the one that you have to walk into, cultivate, grow, and build trust and good communication in. Now, it is a relationship. You are relating to another human being. And what you have to learn now is that you both have to learn how to be co-parents together. What does that mean? Parenting inside of a relationship like marriage or any relationship where you're living together with the parent of your children is so different than parenting with that person when you two live in two separate homes. And split. The hardest part for me was giving up 50% of eyes on my kids and giving up 50% of that control. Like typically I had a lot of control because I was always there with my kids. And when I chose to move out, and when I moved out, and then I realized that the father is very important to the children, just like the mother is. It's 50-50. They need us both. And so I immediately suggested 50-50 parenting time. And it was hard for me to give up that control. It was so hard because they're my babies, you know, and but they're his babies too. And so from the very beginning, he's had them half of the time. So we had 3 babies in diapers, basically. And that was the hardest thing, you know, just half of the time not seeing my infants, not having them there with me, and not being able to control what was going on with them. So what made it harder was that I was holding a lot of resentment against him from what happened in our relationship. And so because of that resentment, I would then have these arguments with him based on that resentment, when really he was actually a pretty decent father. It was earned mistrust in terms of how he treated me as a wife, but it wasn't earned in terms of how he was a father. And so I had to learn how to separate that mistrust and how not to put that mistrust from our relationship into our parenting relationship, because he had really given me no reason to believe that he was a bad parent. I mean, you know, we all have our little quirks, things that we don't appreciate about the other parent, but there was really no pressing issues where I just felt like he would hurt my children, that they were in danger. They weren't in danger. I knew he would always protect them. So forgiveness in the ending of your romantic relationship will really do wonders for cultivating your new parenting relationship. You have to understand that it's not okay to take your issues from the marriage and then go and place those things onto your parenting relationship. So forgiveness is important, but forgiveness isn't easy right at first, right? So what's important is compartmentalization until you get to forgiveness. So compartmentalization means kid issues or adult issues. If you're making phone calls, if you're meeting up, if you're sending emails, whatever, text messages, kid issues, adult issues. What do I mean by that? So when you're talking about which daycare you're going to choose, if you're going to talk about what time, Billy's going to get picked up or whatever. Call and say, hey, I have some questions. I want to talk to you about daycare. Do you have like 5 or 10 minutes to talk right now? Is now a good time, or would you like me to call you later? I always give that respect. I always, right up front, ask if now is a good time to talk. For one, it shows that I respect his time, that I know his time is valuable. I give him a heads up about the topic. He gets a second to think about whether or not it is a good time for him to talk about it. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes he's at work. I can't be mad about that. Sometimes he's sleepy and he just woke up, and I had to learn a long time ago, I can't call this man early in the morning because he will have a different kind of attitude than he does if I call him right after lunch on a Saturday. So be respectful and compartmentalize. So forgiveness and compartmentalization. If you want to talk about adult issues, then call and say, hey, I want to talk about something that has to do with you and I. Do you have a few minutes? This is the thing. When you compartmentalize, you don't switch into issues one after the other, because sometimes you might not get that arrangement taken care of with the kids the way that you need it, because you're busy pulling that resentment from the relationship into your parenting relationship. I use the compartmentalization all the time. Kid topics with kid topics, adult topics with adult topics. And it is actually kind of comical how he and I can actually have these different arguments. Like, I remember one time we had a really just knockout argument about taxes. I mean, it was just so angry. And it was the IRS's fault, really, because they had just changed their system and something had happened, and I had filed my taxes first, and it seemed like I claimed one of the kids that I was not supposed to claim that year, because he and I have arrangement on that too. And we were so pissed at each other, and we were yelling at each other for like 15 whole minutes. Just, and then the next conversation that we had, hey, I need to talk about aftercare. Do you have a minute? Yeah, what's up? Okay, you need to make sure you turn in the contracts, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. All right, talk to you later. Bye. When you practice that compartmentalization, you know exactly where to draw the line. The kids' issues stay over here, and the adult issues stay over here. And you really will value that. You really will, when you need to talk about the kid issues without having an argument, and you really want to have that regularly. And so forgiveness and compartmentalization, I keep repeating it, but it is so important to a positive co-parenting relationship. I thank you so much for listening to my first video. This is the first of many. I won't tell you how often I'm going to do it, just because I don't want to make a promise that I can't keep, but I hope to do it at the very least weekly or bi-weekly. So we'll see. But I have a positive co-parenting relationship with my children's father, and I have friends who have positive co-parenting relationships with their children's mothers, children's fathers. It's working, folks. It's out there. Don't be afraid to date people who have kids by someone, because you never know. They could have it wrapped up. And don't be afraid to be positive with the other person. Doesn't mean you're getting back together, but it does mean that you care enough about being a parent in order to give your children a positive experience, because they know what's going on. No matter how much we think they don't. I was a child in the relationship situation, and I know exactly what happened, exactly what was going on between those adults. So remember, have a positive co-parenting relationship. Watch what you're doing and watch what you're saying, because your children are too. See you next time.